So when I first published Dear Andy, especially when I first wrote it, I really wasn't expecting the amount of like the support and the amount of reaction that it would get. I wrote it mostly. It was over the summer. I was talking to a really good friend of mine, and we were just sort of talking about our own history of mental health problems and sort of some stuff from back home. And I sort of touched on this, and really for the first time, and since it happened, I sort of talked about my two friends, one in college, one from back home, who committed suicide. And it's very emotional, and that sort of prompted me. I ended up writing Dear Andy at around 4:30 in the morning, in around half an hour. It's like 3 times as long as the final published form. It's just pure catharsis. It just all came out. I went to sleep on it. Next morning, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this might be, this might make an impact. So I then spent the next few weeks editing it, working with a girl named Molly, who's the chief editor at Crimson. And yeah, we wrote it with the intention. We were editing it with the intention of hopefully creating a dialogue on campus. So sort of like my own history, I have suffered from obsessive compulsive disorder and depression for as long as I can remember. That article mostly talked about my experience in middle school and my struggles with obsessive compulsive disorder, which for the most part doesn't really affect me anymore. But it really didn't talk much about my sort of depression, and that's gone on for a while. In high school and in college, particularly my first winter here, I am from Georgia, so the first winter was pretty brutal. But sort of when I was here and when I was back home, I never really felt like I was. It's hard to reconcile sort of my achievement with how I felt about myself, if that makes sense. Like, the most depressed I've ever been in my life, actually, was when I got into Harvard. I got in early, and I was just depressed for months after that, because it was hard to reconcile this idea of what Harvard was in my mind. I never knew we were going to Harvard. It was just sort of a dream of mine, just sort of like with the way I saw myself. So that was tough, and it sort of carried on while I was here. I felt very isolated. I didn't know anyone. From a small town in Georgia, you're not going to meet many people going to Harvard who go with you. So I didn't know anyone. It was very isolating. I'd grown up with the same people my whole life, and it was a tough experience here. And I'm glad it was. I'm glad. Sort of part of what I signed up for coming to Harvard was to go to a place that was academically challenging, pushed me to my limits, where I could be the person I wanted to be, sort of separate from some of the baggage I left behind, and that was good in a way. But I do think for me and for a lot of people here, having more mental health resources on campus, and more importantly, not even resources, having more acceptance for people with their talking about the mental health struggles, people having more confidence talking about their struggles with their friends, and feeling like what they are going through does matter. I think that's important. That's something we need to really focus on campus. Sort of making people feel comfortable talking to and listening, talking to friends and listening about these problems. It's helped me. I mean, through all my struggles, I talked to my best friends, I talked to my roommate, I talked to my fraternity brothers. They helped me get through some of these hard times, both through my depression and through my parents' divorce my freshman year. I could not have done it without them. I couldn't have gotten to Harvard without my friends from back home. I think something important for people to realize is that we're all in this together. The lone wolf mentality just doesn't work here or anywhere. I mean, everyone has their goals, everyone has their ambitions. I have my goals, I have my ambitions, but at the end of the day, it's important to realize that we're here for each other, and we're a community, we're a college, that sure, it's only 4 years of our rest of our lives. They're 4 very important years, and we're going to look back on this hopefully I know I can say confidently that I made the best friends I've ever made here. Got the best men in my my wedding are going to be my friends I made in college, and I think it's important for us to get perspective and realize that our time here does matter, and our emotional well-being while we're here matters. And I think that if we just sort of come together and focus on these things, focus on mental health and mental wellness, I think we can make this a better place. I've seen a lot of friends struggle with depression. I've seen a lot of friends struggle with suicidal thoughts. I have, and it's not an easy place. It's not it's not a happy place, but you can get through it. But it's hard to get through it alone. Some people can, good for them. But a lot of people, myself included, need support from their friends, family, medical professionals, whatever. Anything you can. The resources do exist. It's just important for us as a school to sort of have a cultural shift to feel comfortable getting resources.